We're always not in a rush, but we are always moving quickly and with purpose. Always. In everything we're doing. As a tech, move with purpose. Don't freaking spend 45 minutes in the parking lot after the meeting and say you're serious about anything if you have a call waiting for you, because you're not. Dude, it's always the top producers at every team who are the first ones out of that freaking building. Gone. All you see is taillights. All you see in the bottom producers is brake lights.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your host, Nate and Brian, hanging out with you. Looking forward to another great episode. We are excited this time to talk about the manager's trap. That's right. A little bit of mystery, a little bit of what does that mean? We're not even sure ourselves. We'll figure it out as we go along. Just kidding. We're going to have a good conversation. It's just going to be Brian and I hanging out today. And before we get into the meat of the subject, it's time to have a bit of an introduction first. While Brian tells his dog to be quiet in the background, we'll start to kick it off with a quote, Brian.
So a little bit different quote this time. I'm going to actually start with a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, where he said, with a strong enough why, we can bear any how. And kind of what that means to us. We'll chop it up real quick, and then I'll dig into the actual quote, which is a bit longer, by none other than Jim Rohn.
Okay, wait a minute. We now have a pre-quote to the quote. This is getting out of control.
I wanted that quote on here because I was going to do the Jim Rohn quote, which is a long one. But it made me think of this quote. And it just feels to me like they dovetail together pretty nicely, you know? So, with a strong enough why, we can bear any how. And Jim Rohn goes on to say, why pay the price? Why work this hard? Why go this far? Why try to learn this much? Why develop yourself to the fullest? Why try to become all that you can possibly become? Here's another good answer to why, and it's the second question. Why not? Why not see how much you can learn? Why not see how many skills you can develop? Why not see what kind of person you can become? Why not see what kind of influence you can end up having? Why not see how many people you can rescue from oblivion? And I want you to take that personally. Not why. Why not? Mr. Jim Rohn.
Mm-hmm. A little bit flip the script. I like it.
Yeah, buddy. And it does bleed right into that quote by Nietzsche, doesn't it? With a strong enough why, we can bear any how. And the why being made, that's almost kind of become like a cliche thing to say. It's just, what's your why, you know? And everybody says the same thing. It's like, my kids, bro, my kids, you know? You're like, okay, well, you average about 7.5 hours a day, and then you go home and watch Netflix for 4 hours, and you wake up 7 minutes before you have to be at the shop. It's like,
oh, no need to get personal here, bro.
Like, this is how hard you're willing to go for the kids, huh? But I would say that reason is just not deep enough, right? Saying the kids. What does that mean to you? The kids. Well, to me, it means like my kids can't grow up in Detroit. I have to put as much mileage between them and the city of Lawndale and Southwest Detroit as I possibly can. And I have to work so hard to do that. And you, my friend, are very casual about how hard you're willing to work for, quote unquote, your kids. You clock in, you clock out. That is all you will put into this thing called I work so hard for my kids or whatever, and I'm not taking any shots at anyone personally. Maybe I am. Me at, the ripe young age of 23. And even parts, sections after that when I was introduced to this kind of thing. And I was already a believer of this mindset, and I was putting a lot into it and trying to develop myself. But I would go in and out of these phases where I worked hard enough because I put in my 8-9 hours. I was under a crawl space all day. I deserve some time to unwind. It's just like, how much do you need? You're already going to sleep for 7-8 hours, right? You also need 5 hours to quote unquote unwind before you sleep for 7-8 hours. But there have been long stretches of my life where I was exactly that. But what's the why? So if you craft your why carefully and spend just an hour on it, clarity break, what they call the 30 minutes with a pen, a notepad, no noise, no nothing, just a clarity break. But spend an hour on your why. What are the reasons? And list them all out that you need to make this thing happen, whatever this thing is. And you need to hit such a high level. Jim Rohn also had that quote that said, what you get by becoming wealthy is nothing compared to what you become by becoming wealthy, because of the person you have to become to attain the next level 20, 30 times over. You wouldn't recognize yourself. It's not the money. That's literally just the scorecard. Even that's cliche to say now, but that is just how it's measured. But I would give any money I've ever made back in a heartbeat to not have to be the person I was before I found self-development and self-discipline and sacrifice on purpose to become something better in these kind of philosophies. 100%. No question about it. The money, it literally means nothing to me. To a fault. As you know. I'm just not that money motivated. I'm development motivated, and then reach my hand back down where I came from, wherever that is, and snatch somebody else out of that oblivion is what motivates me, as you know.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Brian. And what you're talking about there with what is your why, I think you're right in terms of it has to be deeper than that. It has to be the definition of your why. And so when I think about that, okay, I'm going to do a lot of things for my kids, my family, but why? What is the definition of why I'm choosing them? And when I say I'm choosing them, what does it actually mean? To your point, you have a desire for them to grow up in a different environment, and you've already accomplished that and are accomplishing that. For me, I want my kids to succeed beyond what I am doing. I want my wife to feel secure in every way possible. I want my kids to develop social circles that are going to strengthen them in their faith and in their community. And I want them to be leaders within their own realm. I want them to go into school and be the type of friend that they should be to others. I want them to find the people in the class who are not good friends with other people and, are struggling there, and to be friends with them. I want them to be the good type of people that I know they can be. And so what does it take for all that to happen? Well, many things. It takes money, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes intentionality, it takes purpose and vision, it takes investment into them, and in so many ways. And so when you say, yeah, I'm doing this for my kids, okay, cool. What does that mean? You're doing it for your kids so that your kids can do what? So that they can exist, or so that they can exist and grow and get better and leapfrog you in your current position, your current trajectory, all the things that you're providing them. And man, one of the most impactful pieces of art that I have seen, Brian, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it's a silhouette of a father and a young boy. And the father is mostly filled in, but you can see that he's made up of puzzle pieces, and he is pulling from himself a puzzle piece and handing it over to his son. And you can see that the back of him is starting to erode from the continuous transfer of his things to his child. And it really strikes me as like, man, I'm here to sacrifice for them so that they can become better. I'm here to give what I have learned for them so that they can propel beyond. I am here to, not from my will, not from my way, but to continue to serve them and help them succeed. And man, that's easier said than done. I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, I would give my life for my kids in a heartbeat, right? Like step in front of a car, push them out of the way. Like, I don't even know that I'd have to think, right? It's just going to happen. But the slow investment, the slow killing of my will, day after day, hour after hour, that's when I got a problem, right? I don't want to die to myself across 20 years of child rearing. But man, is that where the impact is?
Yeah, I don't know who said it. It's probably 20, 30 years ago I heard this, but yes, of course you would die for your kids, right? Like you would sacrifice yourself so that they go on. But would you live for them?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm going to
So
live
hard.
for me and they can do their thing. But hey, if anybody needs to jump in front of that bullet, I got them, right?
Yeah. That's the easy one.
I got to make my life. They can make their own like I did.
Great way to start us off, Brian. It's deep.
But that's not the end. We got to keep going.
I don't know. I mean, I think we could call it a wrap. That was good.
Yeah, I feel like
It's a good
look,
episode.
dude, if you act like you're not grateful for that, like just stop listening. You know what I mean? That was good. That's a good 10-minute episode. We nailed it.
Bingo. All right. Well, just in case anybody is interested in hearing more, we shall continue for those of you who are interested in the long form content. But before we do that, it's time for us to highlight one of you who's taken the time to leave us a review. Brian, who are we putting in the spotlight today?
My wife would hate this podcast. 5 stars. Is a very strange way to start a 5-star review.
Did you write this?
I thought you did. I can't be the only one whose wife tunes out as soon as she realizes I'm talking HVAC.
No,
anyway, no, absolutely not. Anyway, this podcast has been my favorite show for the last year. Brain and Nate have a magical chemistry.
Brain?
Have a magical chemistry. Brian nailed it that time. Autocorrect will do that to people from time to time where they're just like, I know where you're going with this. You don't know anyone named Brian.
Yeah. Freudian slip the right way.
All right, quiet down for a sec so we can talk about me. Brian brings a wealth of people skills and sales expertise to the table, while Nate, he didn't fill anything in there. ... Yep, and they just moved on. While Nate facilitates a thoughtful deliberation of questions for each guest. Mm-hmm. If the band ever splits up, it's clear that Brian will go on to have a great solo career while Nate's career spirals after realizing the glory days are behind him. It's like Dave Mustaine when he left Metallica. I mean, Megadeth had some hits, right? But now, even to this day, if Dave Mustaine is interviewed, he's just like trashing Lars, their drummer, and saying Metallica's not that great. That's how Nate would be all bitter.
How much did you pay for this?
Wait, hold on, we're not done.
Off the chain.
He says, I'll read that part again because I know you didn't hear it all.
Yes, please. Yeah, we need to hear it.
If the band ever splits up, it's clear Brian will go on to have a great solo career while Nate's career spirals after realizing the glory days are behind him. Just kidding, Nate. I hope to be a listener for years to come as you both keep delivering week after week. Thanks for all that you do. Ryan H., Arlinghouse, Plumbing, Air, and Electric. The Happy House Guys. Out of Erlanger, Kentucky.
I appreciate the laugh there, man. That was a great review.
Yeah, good review. That was from, I don't know why I've been reading the dates here the past few weeks. I just think it'd be cool if anybody wants to actually go see the review. We read these right off of the Apple podcast app. And this review was Happy House Guy from December 26th, 2024. My man woke up the day after Christmas, started cleaning up wrapping paper. Probably loosened up his belt a little bit and wrote us a review. Back in 24,
bro.
He's probably going back to work that day, man. He's getting a uniform pants.
That's
awesome.
True.
Appreciate it, Ryan H. Hey, if you want to join in, if you want to follow in Ryan H's footsteps and you have not left us a review yet, we would greatly appreciate the shout out. One, for the simple fact that we get to hear some gratitude, read it out loud on the show. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I don't care if you don't want to hear it again. It's like now that it's part of the show, and it has been now for probably a year or something. We've been doing this, reading the review, maybe longer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's like today was really easy because we start recording at 5:30 p.m. my time, 8:30 p.m. Nate's time on a Thursday. And in the Blue Collar Closer school community, SKOOL, our sales training amazing platform, we do our Thursday Q&A, which is a live training and Q&A with me at 4 p.m. my time on Thursday. So I did that from 4 to like 5:05, clicked out of that, and then just kind of started writing my thoughts for the episode and collecting my thoughts while I sat here and waited for Nate to get here, and had 25 minutes to kind of prep for the episode. But that is not typical. A typical day is I'm just flying in from work or a meeting or something and running in and hopefully like throwing a couple bites of dinner down and playing with the girls a little bit, kissing Amelia and flying up the stairs, and kind of like like today, really, like almost every time. And it's not like I don't want to be here. It's not like I don't enjoy chatting with Nate and know that I'm certainly, from the reviews, it looks like making an impact. It's a great feeling, but it's never convenient in the evening, right? It's always inconvenient. And the only thing that is just like, that gets me raring to go at that moment is the fact that one of the first things we're going to do is read a review. And that review, when it's something like this, it's like, all right. It's literally like, all right, I start pulling up my phone. I'm like, all right, we got work to do, baby. We're going to do this for somebody. So let's go. So before we run out, go ahead and drop that review. If you're not on Apple, you're on Spotify, all you can do is click the 5 stars, but we appreciate the click. It's how people decide whether they're going to check the show out. And it is also when we reach out to bigger and bigger guests like dun, 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 Dr. Ben Hardy.
What?
Of Who
Awesome.
Not How. And 10x is easier than 2x, and The Gap and the Gain, and Be Your Future Self Now. We reach out to guests like that who are coming on in like 6 weeks, I believe. That is how most of their booking agents decide whether the show is worthy of them coming on. It's literally the amount of reviews that they see. So myriad of reasons to go ahead and drop that review. If you were thinking about doing it, please go ahead and do it. But for those who just reach out to us on social media and say, I'm not a review guy and want to keep it one-on-one, hey, we still appreciate it, man. We might just change your name and read it anyway.
We do appreciate that. Well, we're excited to switch gears here and head into the fuller part of the episode. And we're going to put both of us in your passenger seat right now. All right. It's just the two of us hanging out with you today. Another solo episode as we make it. And we're talking about the manager's trap today, which is a provocative title. And we're looking to talk about the idea of pushing technicians to hurry up and get to their next call, while also expecting them to build a relationship and produce at a high level. Now, hang in there. We're going to make this a well-rounded conversation. If you're a technician, we'll talk about it from that angle. If you're a manager, we'll talk about it from that angle. But the concept exists because we live in a healthy tension of needing to service many clients while simultaneously knowing that the best way to service clients is with the investment of time. In fact, one of the most assured way of a return client is one that you have significantly invested in with time, energy, bonding, rapport, and relationship. Well, we all know that you can't get relationship when you are flying through 8 calls in a day and spending 30 minutes at every house. You barely have enough time to unpack your toolkit, much less have a conversation of depth with a client. So how can we possibly live in this place where both things need to occur? We need to hit lots of calls, but we need to hit them well and with some level of duration. Brian, let's dig in.
Let's dig. So yeah, nice. I sent Nate the topic, but 2.5 hours ago. Which he loves.
No. Like 2.5 weeks ago. We've had weeks to prep for this.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right?
We took so much time. We met about it. We've had Zoom calls. Like, oh yeah, you guys have no idea how much work.
Pre-episode calls, yes.
Yeah. We recorded 7 of these and we've edited it down to this one. So I texted it to him, I don't know, like 2.5 hours ago. I don't know, like 2 days ago. He's like, what's the topic for the episode Thursday night? And then last night he questions the text. And then today he questions the text again. And then a couple hours ago, I'm like, here's a good one. But I'll tell you straight up. So in the blue collar closer community, are we going to keep talking about it? Yes, we're going to keep talking about it until you personally sign up and get up in BCC.
And then you can start talking about it.
Yeah, there's a guy in there named John Mills who just kind of brought this up. He's like, sometimes it can be difficult. You know, it's like, I get it. Dispatch management's like, yo, man, you got another call. Like, we got to move. But at the same time, I want to build a genuine relationship and connection with my clients. And as does management, obviously, and the marketing manager and the dispatcher and the owner. And I want to create as big a ticket as possible, right? You want to upsell. You want the client to buy as much of your product as one would benefit them, and 2, they can comfortably afford. And oftentimes those things don't go together very well, right? You're not going to be rush and build a relationship and sell a big ticket. You're not. It's almost impossible. So I call it the manager trap because I've spent many a day in leadership, both in Lancaster and here in Phoenix, calling texts like, how's that one going, bro? How you doing over there? Yeah. Oh, it's pretty good. You think there's a good shot? All right. Yeah, no reason. Cool. Yeah, get it done. Hey, I gotta go. All right, click. Hey, how's your call going? You doing good? You think you got some? All right. Cool. Let me know as soon as you can if you don't. All right. Hey, I gotta go. See ya. Hey, you don't think it's going? All right, get out of there, bro. Go. Like, we got calls lining up, right? And you're like panicking, and the tech can feel it because you know that there are time frames, there are windows, and right now the windows are closed, and you got demand calls coming in, and we're booking them for tomorrow morning, and we know we're going to lose them, and we got to hurry up and get someone there. And this happens to leadership at least a few times a year, right? And hopefully in every business. And the challenge is that's as nice as you can have those conversations. And still the technician is going to feel that urgency in your voice. But oftentimes that's not how we have that conversation. Bro, you better get something over there. You better not be screwing off. Like, we got a ton of calls. Like, come on, do something or move. And psychologically speaking, what does that do to the poor technician who's just getting ready to walk in and present options?
Mm-hmm.
Does it really charge us
goes up? The energy goes down. The nerves get on edge. And there is now a worry about things.
Dispatchers, managers, leaders, owners, hear me. We talk about this all the time. What chemical do I want the client's brain producing when I'm presenting? Chemicals, we should say, right? Yes, chemicals would be oxytocin, the love chemical. Yeah, baby. Mm-hmm. Bro, hug me up. You know, oh man, dude, so glad to meet you, man. I was actually thinking about doing some of this stuff anyway. It's just like, it's like Providence that you came today and recommended this exact stuff and it fits my bud. Like, yeah, let's get this thing done, right? Or there's even dopamine, like, yo, this is exciting, right? Maybe a little bit of adrenaline, not too much, because that can turn to stress real quick. But like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. Let's go. Let's get it, right? But what don't you want? Or serotonin, even serotonin, like the happy chemical, especially if you're thinking about you're going to, you know, you did the proud wife close and you got them all amped up about when mama gets home or when hubby gets home and we're going to surprise them with this. But what don't we want for sure? So the chemical, the hormone that you will do anything to avoid on a service call when presenting is what? It's cortisol. That's the number one that you can have no part of. Cortisol is the stress chemical, right? Too much of a lack of sleep can produce high amounts of cortisol. Too much lack of sleep, right? Too much caffeine. And too much can be like 2 cups of coffee, believe it or not. You're in a more stressful state. And it's such a fine line between a little amped up from caffeine and woke up and that whiny, blamey, everything's kind of sucky and just whatever to everything cortisol state that caffeine can put you in. It's a fine line between those two, and it sucks, but it's a reality. And the other one that you don't want, you can get too much of easily, is adrenaline when it becomes like heart pounding and speech moving too fast. That can cause confusion and that can shut people down from the buying process. So if those are the things you know you do or don't want in your client when you're presenting, does it stand to reason, managers, owners, dispatchers, that you do not want a technician to have his brain filled with cortisol when he's getting ready to go try to connect with the client?
But Brian, I don't think you understand. There's calls to run. We got opportunities on the board, my friend.
All right. Are they opportunities if we get a 0 on all of them?
That is the Gordian knot,
Yeah.
if you will.
I got 2 reviews.
How do we untie this? Yeah, which is exactly your point, of course. And so like there's a management aspect to that. I think, your marketing team has to be looped in, your dispatcher has to be looped in. People have to be on the same page. Otherwise, things can go terribly wrong, right? So Brian, what is the right amount of pressure that should be applied? And how do you know when you're pushing too hard? Or how do you know when you're pushing too soft?
I would say, it's tough because at each level of the company, there's a job to be done, right? Like dispatch has to be concerned with the next call. Management has to be concerned with if there are demand calls out there, getting them on our schedule and not someone else's, right? But I don't think there is a line to toe when it comes to spiking the cortisol of a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't do it. So it's so tough, man. And there's so many schools of thought about it out there. Here's the best way I've found to toe that line. We're always not in a rush, but we are always moving quickly and with purpose. Always. In everything we're doing. As a tech, move with purpose. Don't freaking spend 45 minutes in the parking lot after the meeting and say you're serious about anything if you have a call waiting for you, because you're not. Dude, it's always the top producers at every team who are the first ones out of that freaking building. Gone. All you see is brake lights, tail lights. All you see in the bottom producers is brake lights. Always. It's always the case. Move with purpose, right? But on the other side, on the management, the leadership side, when someone sells something, and whether it takes a long time or not, we celebrate hard, right? So there's always a little feeling of, I got to keep moving. I got to keep moving. But everyone understands that when a good sized sale is made, it's a celebration. It's a reason to celebrate. Always at every level. The part runner should be doing it. The CFO and the CSRs should be doing it. If someone hits the biggest sale of their career, everyone at every level of the company should celebrate it.
You're here.
So that's the line to toe. But from a leadership standpoint, and from 2 guys who have been involved in building some pretty good sized businesses, right? And some really good sized technicians, I can never make a technician feel punished for going out there and crushing a big ticket, even if it took a long time. I don't care. And I have personal experience with this. When we won't mention any names, but when I first started running calls at the shop Nate's at back in 2012, they had a couple dispatchers, and I would go to a maintenance call in the morning, plumbing maintenance call, and I would call in to the dispatcher and say, hey, I've got 8,800 here. I'm going to be here for the rest of the day. And what did I hear? Brian, what am I supposed to do with your other 3 calls? And I'm like, I don't know. I never thought about it. and now I have anxiety about it. I'm like, part of me is like, oh crap, I didn't want to make your job hard. And part of me is like, I don't know, do your job. Did you want me to get a 0 here and keep moving?
Right.
And that was their way. And it was 2 of them. And when I was promoted to ops manager of the plumbing department, I said, look, I'm not saying you guys got to do anything to the owners, do anything with those people. But what I am saying is that's the last day they talk to my plumbing team. We need someone else to dispatch for us. And that someone has to be someone who will pump their fist and clap and text out to the team when somebody pops something big. Why? Because that tech just paid a lot of bills for that company. And he should not be feeling a sense of anxiety about telling dispatch about it. So, and at that time, I didn't have installers. I was actually never at a point in my career where I had installers. Like nobody ever put that together while I was working in a truck, which I just find insane because it was like the first thing I did.
Clearly shocking.
Leadership. I'm like, yeah. Oh, you can sell? Well, you're done installing. That's for sure. Or just get them help, is another thing. It's like, let me get installs done faster so I can at least hit more calls in the day because I was someone who wanted more calls. If I could keep my eyes open, I wanted to be selling. So that's the answer to that question. It's like, there's no line to toe. The culture needs to be built around celebrating a big sale, a big win, a big connection with a client to the point that nobody feels bad about doing it ever. And as soon as we implemented that new dispatcher, Brad Hauk, my main man, everything changed, man. And it was funny because it was just like Kevin Oliver at Yes Plumbing in Las Vegas, who was my dispatcher when I learned these principles. Not only would he hype you up when you sold something big, like he'd yell. And he's like surrounded by other people in the call center. He's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But boy, if you went 0 for 2,
it's coming back the other way.
Look, and it's just like all the texts that, like when they talk to like, look, dude, this chick was like blah blah blah, and I was like, what and this and whatever. Like, she's an idiot. You're like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. Nobody could have sold that one. Meanwhile, your conversion rate is 48%, but all 52% of the clients that said no to you, nobody could sold. It's like always some grand excuse for why it was impossible that this one be sold, But a good dispatcher will give you 10 times the hype you deserve for a sale and the exact amount of grief that you deserve when you start burning calls, right? Like you have this feeling of, I want to impress my dispatcher. I respect this person. I like this person. Almost like your coach, right? I don't want to let the dispatcher down. But at no point does running a long call let the dispatcher down. Now, techs. This is also the tech trap. Just a little bit of word for you in here. If you're that D-bag that just can't figure out how to use your phone when you're 3 hours and 15 minutes into a maintenance call, and you have that attitude of like, I'll get done when I get done. Screw them. I don't even know what to say to you. Think about we just called you out, but think about who you are. Like that's what you set out to be. Make everybody else around you miserable because you don't want to shoot a text. It's going to kill you to shoot a text out and say, hey, I'm running a little long here. I'm still trying, still pushing. If it's a no, I'll be out in 15 minutes. If it's a yes, I'll text you in 15 minutes. Right? You can't figure out how to use your thumbs. So it's not just the leadership side. Leadership, you cannot make a tech feel punished for taking long. There's no place for that. And the worst part is that tech is going to find a team that will not do that to him or her. They're going to. And they're going to go and get treated right. And they're going to be a much bigger producer than they are now. Because as soon as you're not riding around with that anxiety about letting people down by taking long, and now all you're thinking about is impressing those people by selling a lot, and your mindset shifts from this one to that one, well, your revenue skyrockets. And then in turn, your connection with those clients skyrockets. So your reviews skyrocket. And now the board is more full as a direct result of this tech and this tech's attitude, which 100% the tech's in control of your own attitude, your response. But you're kidding yourself if you don't think we play a part in that from the office.
Yeah, I see this really is supposed to be a symbiotic relationship, right? And if you are trying to make your team and your manager, or your team and your technicians, if you're trying to make their life better, smoother, easier, like it's going to come back to you in twofold, right? Like you're going to get that return on that investment. Just like putting a good investment in a good stock and then selling it when it goes up and getting that return, you're going to see that. And so, yes, if you're a technician, have the respect to tell dispatch, like, I'm getting hung up here, like I'm going to be a while, or this one's going faster than expected, like put another one on me. If you're a technician, don't play the whole like, oh, I'm not going to tell dispatch I'm wrapped up on this call until I drove 45 minutes home. Then I'll say I'm wrapped up on this call.
Right? Oh, guys still do that?
And if you're a manager, like Brian's saying, don't rush the process. Like they used to say in Seattle, let Russ cook, like things have to take time. They have to develop. It has to occur. And that's not an instantaneous process. But really, if each person of the team is setting out to like, not play by the rules, but like make things better, things will get better. If I'm a technician and Brian's my manager and I'm saying like, hey, Brian, I'm getting hung up here. Like I'm going to be a bit. And Brian's like, cool, man, I got you. I'll move some calls. We'll make this happen. You think I'm more or less loyal to Brian, more or less inclined to help him out the next time that he asks me for a favor, right? All these types of things, they come back as return. And if Brian is managing me and he needs me to run an extra call, you don't think that he's going to find a way to return that to me at another time? So I know we titled, or we're working with the title that this is the manager's trap, but really what this is the selfishness trap. It's thinking that only your opinion, only your perspective is valid, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how anybody else sees the board, the call, the customer, the time. It doesn't matter. It's only your perspective. Which, hey, your perspective is valuable and it has a lot of credence behind it. But we all work in a family approach business, which means that there has to be more than one person involved in things. Now, some of you are out there, you literally are in a family business. Like your dispatcher is, your wife and you're the CEO, CFO, COO, right? You're telling me that life isn't better if the two of you are on the same page? 100% it is, top to bottom. So let's avoid this selfishness trap, no matter if you are a manager or a technician. And let's play for the team, not for the player.
Yeah, and I get both sides, especially now. Shoot, have I been in leadership longer than, I was in a truck since I was a kid, but in the selling aspect of this where I sold as a plumber, that didn't start till 2004. So I'm nearly been in leadership as long as I've been doing the selling tech role. And I know both sides of that coin very well. And both the outcome of, management treating me a certain way as a tech, and I get bitter because of how they have treated me and take on this persona of somebody who's like, I'm not calling dispatch every freaking half hour to let them know my progress. Like, I'll get done when I get done. I got stuff to do, right? And then I know the leadership side where you're like, this guy likes to screw around and he loves to go pull 2 houses down after his call and eat a nice lunch on the clock and talk to his girlfriend. And so I'm going to tell the idiot to hurry up, like stop screwing off, I don't know. I'm just saying there's probably a conversation that needs to be had. Let's stop being kids about it. Like someone needs to sit someone else down and say, let's have a chat. This ain't helping either of us. Here's the things that start with this. Here are the things that I'm doing that I know are not good for the team, right? I'm doing a lot of passive aggressive clock screwing where I know this is going to be bothersome to someone, but I do it anyway. Now, the reason I do it is because I feel like you guys are treating me like this because of this instance and this instance. And then let the other person talk for a sec and let's freaking hash it out and get past it. And like Nate just said, start playing for the team. We're all on the same team. And we can make what's literally ends up being the worst parts. You know, that we all think that horrible client is the worst part of the week or whatever, but it's not. It's like my interaction with dispatch is way more important than how one client treats me, because that's multiple times every day, 5 days a week, 50 to 52 weeks a year. That's far more important than one couple. So I have to get that nailed, and the relationship with my direct report, my supervisor, nailed, right? I have to put work into that. And if I'm in leadership, I have to get my relationship with the techs nailed. And dispatcher has to get relationship. God, middle management sucks. With the owner nailed, with the ops manager nailed, with the GM nailed, with the service manager nailed, with the tech nailed, with the part runner, with the warehouse guy, and the apprentice nailed, right? I gotta worry about all these relationships. We got love for you, dispatchers. Appreciate you keeping us rolling.
Shout out John and Mary at our shop.
Oh yeah. John and Mary. Nice, bro. I forgot Brad went to the warehouse before I left.
Yeah, Brad's in the warehouse.
So everybody kind of has to do their part for these things to go smoothly, but anyone can bridge the gap or start building the bridge at least and go into someone's office and say, let's have a chat.
See, that was going to be my question, Brian. Who starts the conversation first?
Whoever hears this first. You who are listening.
That was my exact answer. Whoever's listening to this podcast.
Whoever hears it first. Whoever has the inclination, go. Yeah. The onus isn't on one person over the other. The onus is on whoever thinks to do it first and is going to be the grown up and show the most courage and just walk in there and have the conversation. Now, remember that you're going in there to have the conversation to make both of our lives better, right? Not to break or get your point heard. Certainly don't want to break the person, right? No winner in a fight in an office. It's just who loses less.
Yeah. But I think the law of reciprocation is so valuable in this instance.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit of faith to step into that. It takes a little bit of faith that, hey, I'm going to clean up, as they say in recovery, I'm going to clean up my side of the street first. I'm going to make sure that my side of the street's clean before I start looking at the trash on the other side of the road. So if that's you, and there's a little bit of trash, some weeds growing up on your side of the road, clean that part up, right? That's the other trap. The other trap is only ever looking at the mistakes, errors, follies, shortcomings, failures of everybody else, but never being willing to address the ones that are staring me right in the mirror.
Yeah. It's funny is those conversations, as being as hard as they are, like it's like everything, the more you do them, the more you just kind of brush, like, whatever, let's go, let's get to it and just get it over with. And the better you become at it. What the main thing is, it's like, was it Carl Jung who said, the sign of a great mind is the ability to apologize quickly. The sign of a weak mind is the inability to admit fault.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can look at it like what a powerful quote, or you can really think about what damage you can do to an argument or to a crappy relationship with an apology. But it takes strength to do that, like significant strength, right? Because you and your ego, boy, you will not be trifled with. I'm protecting that ego. But if you go into something and say, like, this is something I've been doing, it's not really good for me or you, but I feel like I'm just kind of doing it out of reaction and anger. And I just want to tell you, I apologize. Like, I apologize. It's stupid. It's childish of me.
And not just apologize, but clean it up, make the change.
Yeah. But here's why I was doing it. This is why I felt like I needed to do it. Right. And then give the other person the opportunity to do whatever they want. Like, they don't owe you anything. Hopefully they do the right thing, but you've cleaned up, as Nate said, your side of the street, and you can rest easier. Yeah, it's tough, but the more you have these conversations and do these things, the easier it gets, right? The more you just go walk forward and say, I'm just freaking doing it. I'm doing it. I mean, it's no different than selling. It's no different than asking for the business. It's no different than overcoming objections. It's no different than being out and about at restaurants or at grocery stores or whatever and having those hard conversations with people when you don't really want to be social, but you know this is one opportunity you're never going to have again. Like tomorrow, I'm a day older, a day closer to the grave. And I don't know when that grave's coming, whether I'm just turned 46, whether it's 56, 86, or 46, you know, it's a whole 12 months. So you never get that opportunity back. And then the thing where you can just make someone smile and make someone's day and hit them with a pattern interrupt, you know, when you go to those places like, I guess around here, probably like Barrio Queen, which is a Mexican restaurants my wife loves to go to. They have great little tacos, but they're so tiny, like $8 each, and you need like 12 of them, or I do anyway. That's one of those places where you don't get a lot of interaction from the waiters and waitresses because they're like, if it's a busy time, they're like moving, right? There's a lot of tables, not a lot of staff. Great service, amazing food, but they don't have time to dilly-dally. So if I'm on my game and I'm thinking about it, I do what I want to do with the staff, which is a pattern interrupt. I want them to have a different interaction with me than anyone else they serve today, right? Make them think a little bit or make them feel something. And the more I do it, now I just go, oh yeah, I got to do that thing. And I just do it, right? So like Amelia and I are at Sprouts grocery store last weekend. And I'm just like, ladies, Brenda or whatever has a name tag on. And I'm like, hey, I don't know. She's probably like late 50s, early 60s. And just kind of down, right? Just kind of like quiet, not really interacted. I'm like, I don't know, it was Saturday or Sunday or something. I'm like, how's your weekend going? She's like, almost out of here. You guys got here at the right time. It was like 6:30 p.m. She said, we were slammed earlier. I'm ready to go home.
I'm guessing at some point you brought up a CPAP to her.
Yeah, of course. I had to sell her on getting rid of that sleep apnea. And I said, super bit like crazy busy or just like kind of busy? And she just looks up. She goes, no, like crazy busy. And I was like, what was the most exciting thing that happened today? Like with an expected smile, right? Like, huh? And I don't remember what she said. There was nothing. Like whatever she said, I don't even remember it, but her spirit was lifted. She had a different interaction, right?
Right.
So, and that's no different than the hard conversation. It's just practice. And the more you do these little things, the more you apologize, even the more you just eat the beginning of the breaking of the breakdown of communication, the easier it becomes. Especially in these nervous, tense moments, the more you realize I did not die as a result of being open and vulnerable and letting someone in a little bit.
This has been a beneficial conversation, Brian. And I hope, and I believe that there's been takeaways on all sides of the equation. And if nothing else, like I hope that the balance of perspective has given each one of our listeners, and myself included, a better view of how things should be, right? And not only just in your closing remarks there about like, hey, let's remember that there's humans in this place, right? Let's take some effort there, but also in just like seeking to understand others' positions. Like, why are they doing this? Why are they asking me for that? Right. And steering clear of those traps that are so easily fallen into, whether it's the breakdown of communication, which is often where most things start occurring, or whether it's some level of laziness or, just misaligned energy, like where you've been putting your energy towards the wrong thing and it's rush. And you've allowed yourself to slip into some type of, jaded, kind of calloused mindset. And you need to reset, refresh on that. Take the time. Today's the day to do that. Good stuff, Brian. Hope that everybody enjoyed the episode. A little bit on the shorter side, but I think just as impactful as it could and needed to be. Hope that you enjoyed it. And because we talked about quite a bit of things on this one, make sure that you share it around. if you'd love for your team to hear this message, get them in on the Waste No Day podcast and get them in on the Waste No Day group on social media. We sure love to have them. And if you're a technician who is interested in learning more about not just these types of things, but really about how to dramatically change your approach to a client, how to have increased sales, how to sell with story and relate to the client in so many ways, check out our Blue Collar Closer school community. You can go to that at bluecollarcloser.com. We hope that you enjoyed everything here. That's a wrap for this episode. We're going to leave you now with our weekly challenge, which continues to be the same: to choose to wake up each and every morning and waste no day.